Sir, very happy morning to all. My dear lovable students, we are going to start the Super 20 questions of the registration plus the ITC chapter. Very important chapter, registration and ITC. From these two chapters alone, we will be getting an 8 to 10 mark area for exam. So what are the questions we are supposed to revise? First, we will talk about registration, then we will move into the ITC. Illustration number 1. Nesamani started his business activity in the month of February in the state of Orissa. So Nesamani is a person who started supplying goods or services or both in the month of February in Orissa. He provided the following details. Outward supply of petrol, intra-state supply 4 lakh. You tell me, is petrol, HP man, is liable to GST now? No. That will be leviable to GST from a date that will be notified by the government. So my dear lovable students, this will be a non-taxable supply. Sir, exempt supply includes non-taxable supply. Am I right? Transfer of exempt goods to his branch in Rajasthan interstate. Because this guy is situated in Orissa, to his own branch, he is transferring, sir, goods interstate. Rupees how much lakh? 2 lakh. Outward supply of taxable goods by his branch in Uttar Pradesh interstate. That means this guy, Orissa guy, is having another branch in Uttar Pradesh. To there he has supplied taxable goods. Outward supply of services on which tax is payable under reverse charge by the recipient of services intrastate 6 lakh. Inward supply of service on which tax is payable under reverse charge intrastate 2 lakh. From the information given above, compute the aggregate turnover of Nesamani and also decide whether it is required to get registered under GST, assuming that amount given above are exclusive of taxes. Like this, a 5-mark question can be expected in exam, which is computation of the aggregate turnover. Because whether I am liable to take registration or not, based upon aggregate turnover. Since it is Orissa, the aggregate turnover threshold limit is 40 lakh if you are exclusively supplying goods, and 20 lakh if you are exclusively supplying services or goods and services. So this is an expected question for exam. So what is the legal provision? Sir, a supplier is engaged in supply of goods or services from the state of Orissa and Uttar Pradesh, then the threshold of aggregate turnover to obtain registration will be how much lakh? 20 lakh as per section 22. General threshold limit is 20 lakh. Sir, if the person is required to pay tax under reverse charge, then he is to get compulsory registration irrespective of the what turnover? Aggregate turnover. Because section 24 is saying that inward supply on which tax is liable to be paid on reverse charge basis, sir, the recipient is the person who are liable to pay the tax. It is compulsory registration. So we are going to calculate the aggregate turnover of Nesamani for the month of February. Outward supply of petrol, will you include in the aggregate turnover? Yes, because it's a non-taxable supply. And exempt supply includes what supply? Non-taxable supply. So non-taxable supply is included in the what turnover? Aggregate turnover. Interstate stock transfer of exempt goods. How much lakh? 2 lakh. My dear lovable students, to your own branch, you have supplied, sir, exempt goods. Sir, aggregate turnover includes what supply? Exempt supply. Sir, supply of taxable or exempt goods between distinct person will be includable in the what turnover? Aggregate turnover. Because aggregate turnover includes all taxable supply, all exempt supply, then export of goods or services or both, and interstate supply. My dear lovable students, that all interstate supply includes supply made to self also. Are you all really with me? Outward supply of taxable goods from Uttar Pradesh branch. Sir, whether it is taxable goods or exempted goods, that doesn't matter. It will form part of the aggregate turnover. Outward supply of services, taxable under what charge? Reverse charge. That means Nesamani is the service provider. There is a service recipient. That guy is the person. Recipient is the person who are liable to pay tax. Sir, the recipient is only liable to pay tax. But turnover will be included in the hands of the supplier only. Correct? So this 6 lakh will be included in the hands of the supplier. Inward supply of service taxable under reverse charge, my dear lovable students, that will be included in the turnover of the supplier, not the recipient. So the aggregate turnover is how much lakh? 17 lakh, which is nothing, man. Sir, this 4 lakh petrol, will you include it? Yes, sir. Transfer of exempt goods to his branch? Yes, sir. Outward supply of taxable goods by his branch in Uttar Pradesh? Yes, sir. Outward supply of service on which tax is payable under RCM? Inward supply we will not include because it will be included in the turnover of the supplier, not the turnover of the recipient. That means 4 lakh plus 2 lakh, 6 lakhs. 6 lakhs plus 5 lakh, 11 lakhs plus 6 lakh, only 17 lakhs is the aggregate turnover. My dear lovable students, the threshold limit is 20 lakh. Sir, why not 40 lakh? Because this guy not only exclusive supplier of goods, this guy outward supply of service is also there. So 40 lakhs limit, higher limit will not be applicable. Lower limit of 20 lakhs will only be applicable. Am I right? So in the given case, Nesa money making interstate supply to deemed distinct person and also liable to tax under what charge? Reverse charge. Hence need to take compulsory registration under section 24. This guy has not fall under section 22, person liable for registration. But since he has made interstate outward supply to the deemed distinct person and value of inward supply on which tax is liable to be paid on reverse charge basis, this guy is liable to take the registration under section 24. Are you comfortable with illustration number 1? So in exam, like this question will be asking, man, to find out the aggregate turnover, and they will be asking whether they are liable to take the registration or not. I am moving into illustration number 2 discussion. Sir, examine whether the supplier of goods is liable to get registered in the following independent cases. We are having case number 1 and case number 2, a normal question only. This guy is a supplier of goods. Raghav of Assam is exclusively engaged in intrastate taxable supply of ready-made garments. You tell me, Assam, what is the threshold limit? Sir, Oak of Himachal Pradesh is there. O-A-K of Himachal Pradesh. O stands for other states. A stands for Assam. Sir, for Assam, exclusive goods, it is 40 lakh. My dear lovable students, any other composition, sir, other composition 20 lakh. Exclusive services 20 lakh. Goods and services 20 lakh. Any other composition. His turnover in the current financial year from Assam showroom is 33 lakh. He is exclusive supplier of goods. Already question said. Yes, another showroom in Tripura with a turnover of 11 lakhs in the current financial year. Sir, is this guy is having one of the unit in TNMM? Yes, sir. Because Tripura, Nagaland, Manipur and Mizoram. If you are having any one unit in the special category states, and from that special category states, if you are supplying taxable supply, then your threshold limit will fall down to 10 lakh. Am I right? So 33 plus 11 comes to 44 lakhs. My dear lovable students, which is more than 10 lakh. Then he is liable to take registration in Tripura and he is liable to take registration in Assam. We will go to answer for question number 1, then we will read together. Every supplier of goods or service is required to obtain registration in the state or union territory from where he makes taxable supply if his aggregate turnover exceeds the specified threshold limit. Am I right? Threshold limit for a person making exclusive intra-state supply of goods is as under. This is the limit. Rupees 10 lakh for special category states of TNMM. Rupees 20 lakh for the states of Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Puducherry, Sikkim, Telangana and Uttarakhand. Basically MAT PSU. Are you all really with me? Sir, MAT, M stands for Meghalaya, A stands for Arunachal Pradesh, T stands for Telangana, P stands for Puducherry, A stands for Sikkim and U stands for Uttarakhand. For MAT PSU, it is 2020. Am I right, sir? For TNMM, it is 1010. For MAT PSU, it is 2020. And 40 lakhs for the rest of India. So, In the light of the above mentioned provision, answer to the independent case number 1. Raghav is eligible for higher threshold limit of turnover for registration. 4 rupees, how much lakh? As is exclusively engaged in intra-state supply of goods. However, since Raghav is engaged in supplying ready-made garments from a special category states, that is Tripura, threshold limit will get reduced to how much lakh? 10 lakh. Thus, Raghav is liable to be registered under GST as his turnover exceed 10 lakh. Further, is required to obtain registration in both where and where Assam and Tripura, as he making taxable supply from both the states. Are you very comfortable with case number 1? So what is the takeaway of question? We already know if you are having one unit in special category states, and from that special category states, if you are making taxable outward supply, your threshold limit will fall down from the higher limit to the lower limit. Are you all really with me? Pulkit of Punjab, Panjim, Goa. Goa will fall in the oak of Himachal Pradesh, other states. That means it's a 40-20 rule. Am I right? Is exclusively engaged in intra-state taxable supply of shoes. His aggregate turnover in the current financial year is 22 lakh. That means he's supplying only shoes. Shoes means goods, because goods means every kind of mobile property. Am I right? Sir, since he is situated in Goa, if he is exclusively supplying only goods, his threshold limit applicable will be 40 lakhs. His turnover is only 22 lakh. So he is not liable to take what? Registration. So the applicable threshold limit for registration of Pulkit in the given case is rupees 40 lakh. As is exclusively engaged in intrastate taxable supply of goods in Goa. Thus, he is not liable to get registered under GST as turnover is less than the threshold limit. 2 questions we have done, my dear lovable students. Sir, most expected area where you need the revision for your examination, those questions, sir, I have selected. Surely these questions will revise the entire chapter registration in a different level. Answer the following questions independently. Okay, fine. So we are having case number 1 and case number 2. Let me read case number 1, finish it off case number 1, and we'll move into case number 2. An agriculturalist who's only engaged in supply of produce out of cultivation of land, and its aggregate turnover exceeds the applicable threshold limit during the financial year, is not liable to take registration because of section 23. Because we are having section 23, person not liable for registration. In that, sir, agriculturalist is a specific inclusion. Am I right? Following are not liable to obtain registration. Person engaged exclusively supplying goods or services not subject to tax or wholly exempt from tax are not liable for registration. Am I right? Or agriculturalists are not liable for GST registration when supplying produce from land cultivation. These 2 people are not liable for registration. So discussion. Sir, case number 1. In the given case, as the agriculturalist is exclusively engaged in making exempt supply of produce out of cultivation of land, hence he is not required to obtain registration under what? GST. Case number 2. Darun provides service as a business facilitator to Zio Bank Limited by facilitating in opening of bank account to villages in its rural branches in Punjab, and earned a commission of 22 lakhs in the month of April. Super question, my dear lovable students. Sir, for example, you are Darun. You are providing business facilitator services. In the sense, means some bank is there. Bank want everyone in that particular place to open some savings account. So what this business facilitator will do now? They will go and help the people who want to open a bank account. Are you all ready with me? Sir, where the service has been provided in a rural branch, we know in section 11, exemption. If you are providing service to a bank as a business facilitator in a rural branch, it is exempt from GST. So far, he is not registered under GST. Darun's tax consultants advise him that he is liable for registration under GST as his gross receipts exceeds how much lakh? 20 lakh. Since you are a service provider, since your gross receipts exceed 20 lakh, you are liable to take registration. Darun has no other receipts or business activity other than the above. That means whatever he is providing is exclusively an exempted item. If you are exclusively engaged in exempt supply, even though your aggregate turnover exceeds threshold limit of 20 lakh, you are not liable to take registration as per section 23. So service provided by a business facilitator to a banking company with respect to accounts in its rural area are exempt from GST. How beautifully they are connecting registration chapter with exemption. In the given case, Darun is engaged exclusively in providing what services? exempt services. It is not liable to obtain registration even though its aggregate turnover exceeds. Thus, the advice given by tax consultant is not correct, my dear lovable students. Are you able to appreciate the 3 questions of registration? Are you able to recall what are the important points in registrations, my dear lovable students? I'm moving into illustration number 4. We are having 4 cases, man. Case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4. 4 cases. Examine the above scenario and advise BBD Private Limited whether it needs to get registration under GST or not. Like this question will be coming for examination. Right. Number 1. Sir, BBD Private Limited of Gujarat exclusively manufacture and sells product Z, which is exempt from GST, white notification issued under relevant GST legislation. My dear lovable students, I am selling only calculator. This calculator is fully exempted. Company sells Z only within Gujarat and is not registered under GST law. You tell me, are they liable to take registration? No, sir, because they are exclusively dealing with exempted product. So, legal situation, case number 1. A supplier exclusively engage in intra-state supply of goods. The threshold limit of turnover to obtain registration in the state of Gujarat is how much lakh? 40 lakh. This is as per section 22. Section 22. As per section 22, if your aggregate turnover exceed 40 lakh in Gujarat, you are liable to take registration. However, a person exclusively engaged in the business of supplying goods or services that are not liable to tax or are wholly exempt from tax is not liable for registration as per section 23. We all know that section 23 overrides section 22. So as per, aggregate turnover includes what supply also? Exempt supply also, along with the taxable supply. Am I right? So in case number 1, in the given case, since BBD Private Limited was engaged exclusively in supplying exempted goods, it was not required to be registered till that day, though voluntary registration was allowed. So, my dear lovable students, they are not liable to take registration only if they are exclusively engaged in exempt supply. Sir, sorry sir, this is not case sir, this is number only. Continuous questions 1, 2, 3, 4. These are points of the question. Turnover of the company in the previous year, last year was rupees how much lakh? 50 lakh. Doesn't matter because last year your product was fully exempted. Am I right? Yes, sir. So last year, because of section 23, you are not liable to take the registration. Company expected the sales to grow by 10% in the current year, 2000 YYZZ. However, with effect from 1/1/2000 and ZZ, exemption available on Z was withdrawn by the central government and GST at 5% was imposed thereon. Right. The turnover of the company for the 9 months ended was rupees how much lakh? 42 lakh. BBD Private Limited is of the opinion that it is not required to get registered under GST for current financial year also. Sir, super question, sir. Last year that product was an exclusively exempted product. Sir, if a person who is dealing in exclusively exempted product, even though his aggregate turnover exceeds a threshold limit of 40 lakh or 20 lakh or 10 lakh as the case may be, he is not liable to take registration at all. But in current year, sir, after 9 months, that product has become taxable. That means during this 9 months, you have supplied an exempted supply. Am I right, sir? And the value of that exempted supply is 42 lakh. Sir, whether I have to take registration or not is based upon my aggregate turnover. Am I right? Aggregate turnover, not aggregate turnover in the immediately preceding previous year. This is not composition levy. This is registration. Aggregate turnover of the current year. Aggregate turnover includes all taxable supply, all exempt supply. So, this is an exempt supply. Exempt supply exceeds 40 lakh. Then you are compulsory liable to take registration as per section 22. Right? That's what they are saying. In the given case, since BBD Private Limited was engaged exclusively supplying in exempt goods till 31/12, it was not required to be registered till that day, though voluntary registration was allowed. Till 31/12, it was your choice. If you want, you take registration. Otherwise, leave it. But this position will change from 1/1 as a supply of goods become taxable from that day. And the turnover of BBD Private Limited is more than rupees how much lakh? Because for the first 9 months during the exempted period, they made a supply of 42 lakh. So since the aggregate turnover limit of 40 lakh include what supply also? exempt supply also, turnover of Z till 31/12 will be considered for determining the threshold limit, even though same was exempt from GST. Therefore, BBD Limited need to register within 30 days from 1/1, because all we know that from the date of liable for registration within 30 days is a breathing space for taking registration. 4 question of the registration has been done, my dear lovable students. Sir, with your permission, can I move into illustration number 5? Are you feeling comfortable with the 4 questions of registration, the expected questions, my dear lovable students? Coming to illustration number 5. Examine the liability of compulsory registration under section 24 of the CGST Act in each independent cases mentioned below. So these are cases, man. 3 cases has been given. You have to refer the case with section 24 and you have to tell me whether it will be liable to GST or not. Meenu, a supplier in Maharashtra. Meenu is a supplier in Maharashtra. Is engaged in supply of potatoes within Maharashtra and also outside Maharashtra. That means they are making interstate outward supply of goods whose turnover exceeds threshold limit under the GST law. Where Meenu is situating? Meenu is in Maharashtra. Okay, fine. What she is supplying? Supply of potato. Is potato an agricultural produce? Yes, sir. So, my dear lovable students, whether section 23 will be applicable for her? Yes, sir. So, whether she is liable for compulsory registration or not liable for compulsory registration? Not liable for compulsory registration. Come and get the, sir, answer for case number 1. Legal provision. Sir, person making interstate taxable supply of goods. Interstate, not simply interstate supply. Interstate taxable supply of goods other than taxable supply of handicraft goods are compulsory required to obtain registration irrespective of the quantum of the aggregate turnover. Yes, because for supply of handicraft goods, even though you are making interstate outward supply, arpudangal seyyum kaigal, up to 20 lakh, you can enjoy the threshold limit. An agriculturalist, to the extent of supply of produce out of cultivation of land, is not liable to be registration under section 23. Who is having overriding effect? 23 is having superpower, 24 is having superpower. 23 is having superpower. 23 will prevail over section 24. Am I right? So assuming that Meenu is engaged in cultivation and supply of potato, she is not liable to be registered irrespective of the fact that she is engaged in making interstate supply and her turnover exceeds the threshold limit. Am I right? So any person exclusively engaged in business of supplying exempted goods is not liable for registration as per section. Since potatoes are what goods? Exempted goods, because it's agricultural produce. Meenu is not liable to obtain registration irrespective of the fact that she's engaged in making interstate supply and her turnover exceeds the threshold limit. Are you able to connect all the discussions what we have made? Moving to the second question. Govardhan is an agriculturalist engaged in supply of produce out of cultivation of land. He utilized service of Manu, who's a commission agent as per the Agricultural Produce Marketing Committee. What do you mean by commission agent? Whatever, sir, products has been manufactured by the Govardhan would have handed over to Manu and said that please sell these agricultural produce outside and the Manu will get the commission. Turnover of Manu is above the threshold limit prescribed. Manu wants to know whether he is liable to get registered under the GST or not is the question. Sir, there was one circular or clarification regarding the APMC agent. What is APMC? Agricultural Produce Marketing Committee agent. Generally, if you are an agent of a particular principle, compulsory registration is mandatory. Am I right? Because we already discussed in para 3 of the schedule 1, supply of goods between principal and agent. If the agent is going to raise the invoice in the name of the agent, he will be treated as an agent for the purpose of GST. If a person has become an agent, compulsory, mandatory, he has to take compulsory registration. But agriculture agents are not what? Agent. Sir, a commission agent under the APMC Act is not liable to be what? Registered. Since it provides exempt service of sale or purchase of agricultural produce on behalf of agriculturist being a non-taxable person as he supply produce out of cultivation of land. My dear lovable students, Sir, if an agricultural agent provided service to an agriculturalist, it is exempt from GST. Supply of farm labor, basic agricultural operation, process carried out at agricultural farm, renting or leasing of agro machinery or vacant land for the purpose of agriculture, loading, unloading, packing, storage and warehousing of agricultural produce, agriculture extension services, services provided by any agency, this agent, for purchase or sale of agricultural produce. So it's already an exempt supply under section 11. Am I right? So, moreover, such commission agent are otherwise also exempt from registration, since any person engaged exclusively in the business of supplying exempt service is not liable to be registered as per section 23. First of all, section 11, this is exempted, man. Are you all really with me? Therefore, Manu is not liable to get registered under what law? GST law. Where students will get confused, I will tell you. Sir, students will think that, okay, agent or otherwise is there in section 24. Every agent is compulsory liable to take registration irrespective of the turnover, except agricultural agent. Except agricultural agent. That point may be tested in exam. That's why I'm highlighting this point. Sir, Anubhav is dealing in supply of taxable goods and services in the state of Gujarat. Both. That means what is the limit, man? 20 lakh. His turnover from intra-state supply of taxable goods is 16 lakh and interstate supply of taxable services is how much lakh? 22 lakh. He is of the opinion that his aggregate turnover is within the limit, so he is not required to get registered. Advice, Adi. First of all, my dear lovable students, you are supplying both what and what? Goods and services. What is the limit for goods? 16 lakh. What is the services? 22 lakh. So 16 plus 22 comes to 38 lakh, which is more than 20 lakhs, point number 1. Number 2, you are making interstate outward supply of services. For interstate outward supply of services, threshold limit is 20 lakh, which exceeds 20 lakh. You are compulsory liable to take registration, Gaya. You are falling in both 22 and you are falling in both 24. So every supplier of goods or services is required to obtain registration in the state or union territory from where he make taxable supply if his aggregate turnover exceeds the specified threshold limit. The turnover limit for a person making exclusive intra-state supply of goods is as under 10 lakh for the special category states of Mizoram, Tripura, Manipur and Nagaland. Rupees 20 lakh for the states of Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Puducherry, Sikkim, Telangana and Uttarakhand, and 40 lakhs for the rest of India. Am I right? Threshold limit of 20 lakh or 10 lakh is allowed to a person making interstate supply of taxable services as per the notification we have already discussed. If you are making interstate outward supply of goods, swaha, gone. There is no threshold limit applicable. It's compulsory registration. But if you are making interstate outward supply of services, my dear lovable students, up to 20 lakh or up to 10 lakh, you can enjoy the threshold limit. In the given case, aggregate turnover of goods and service supplied by Anubhav, 38 lakh exceeds the threshold limit and thus is liable to require to obtain registration under section 22, my dear lovable students. Are you able to appreciate? Are you able to recall all the provisions of registration chapter? Illustration number 6, a very good conceptual question. Determine the effective date of registration in the following case. This may be an expected question, man. 2 cases they have given. The aggregate turnover of Dhampur Footwear Industries of Delhi has exceeded the applicable threshold limit of 40 lakh on 1st September. Okay, fine. Once the aggregate turnover exceeds the threshold limit, within 30 days, they are supposed to apply for registration. It submit the application for registration in 20th September itself. Good boy. Good boy. Registration certificate is granted to it on 25th September. Since the taxpayer has applied for registration within 30 days of liable for registration, then the effective date of registration is the date of liable for registration. Am I right? So 1st September will be the effective date of registration. So as supplier whose aggregate turnover in a financial year exceeds how much lakh? In a state other than TNMM is liable for apply for registration within 30 days from the date of become liable for registration under section 22. Read with section 25 of the CGST Act. Sir, where the application is submitted within the set period. What is the set period? 30 days. Effective date of registration is the date on which the person become liable for registration. Otherwise, it is a date of grant of registration. This is a general provision. Am I right, sir? Case number 1, sir. In the given case, turnover of Dhampur Industries exceeds 40 lakhs on 1st September. It become liable for registration on that date itself. Since it's applied for registration within of become liable for registration. Effective date of registration is 1st September. Super sare. Moving to the second question. Mehta Tele Services Architect in Lucknow. Its aggregate turnover exceed 20 lakh on 25th of October. Yes, since service, sir, you can't enjoy 40 lakh, you will get only 20 lakh. It submit the application of registration on 27th of November. That means they have applied for registration beyond 30 days. Not a good boy, but a bad boy. A registration certificate is granted to it on 5th December. Then 5th December will be the effective date of registration. Sir, in the given case, turnover of Mehta Tele Service exceeds the applicable threshold limit 20 lakh on 25th of October. It become liable to registration on the said date. Since it's applied for registration after the expiry of, from the date of becoming liable for registration, effective date of registration is 5th December, my dear lovable students. So from effective date of registration, you may get a 4-mark question. Sir, area. I'm moving into illustration number 7. Are you feeling so much comfortable with the registration chapter, my dear lovable students? Answer the following question with respect to CTP under the CGST Act. Next concept is CTP. So I have choose one question from CTP and we are going to talk about CTP. Who's a casual taxable person? That's the question. Sir, casual taxable person means a person who occasionally undertakes transaction involving supply of goods or services or both in the course or furtherance of business, whereas a principal or agent or in any other capacity in a state or union territory, this is the keyword, where he has no fixed place of business. This is the definition of the casual taxable person. Sir, can casual taxable person opt for composition scheme? Sir, can a CTP can travel through composition scheme section 10? You tell me. No, sir. As per section 10.2 and 10.2a of the CGST Act, remembering disqualifications. Sir, a CTP cannot opt for combustion scheme. Arey, CTP bar NRTP cannot travel through the combustion scheme. Am I right? When is the CTP liable to get registered? Registration. 5 days prior. A CTP is liable to obtain registration compulsory under GST law. That means irrespective of the threshold limit, CTP is compulsory liable to take registration. CTP has to apply for registration at least how many days? 5 days prior to the commencement of the business as per 25 subsection 1 read with proviso thereto. However, if CTP is making taxable supply of specified handicraft goods, then he is eligible for threshold limit applicable as per section 22. All the provision are you able to apply? Yes, sir. Fantastic, sir. Next case. Sir, what is the validity period of registration certificate issued to a CTP? What is the time limit? Maximum 90 days. Or the number of days asked by CTP, whichever is earlier. Sir, registration certificate granted to a CTP will be earlier for period specified in the application for registration. For example, if 40 days are only there, only 40 days. Or period of 90 days from the effective date of registration, whichever is earlier. However, at the request of the said taxable person, PO may extend the validity by further period not exceeding 90 days. Are you all really with me? Can the validity of registration certificate issued to a CTP be extended? Yes. If yes, what will be the period of extension? Just now we read it. How many days? 90 days. Yes, validity of registration certificate issued to a CTP can be extended. It can be extended by a further period not exceeding 90 days by making application before the end of the period of validity of registration granted to him. So this is another concept in the registration chapter where they may ask questions regarding CTP. That's why a very quick question regarding CTP has been discussed. Are you all feeling very comfortable with registration chapter? I'm moving into illustration number 8. Explain the circumstance under which PO can cancel the registration on his own or registered person of a registered person under CGST Act. Sir, what are the circumstances in which proper officer can cancel the registration? There are 10 circumstances are there. Explain the statutory provision for cancellation or suspension of registration under 29.2. What is 29.2? Proper officer is having the power to cancel the registration. That's what 29.2. State any 5 circumstances. We are having 10 circumstances under which the PO can cancel the registration on his own under the CGST Act. Briefly enumerate the contravention which make a registered person liable for cancellation of registration as prescribed under Rule 21 of the CGST Rules 2017. These are the various ways in which they will be asking one particular question. Sir, the circumstance under which PO can cancel the registration on his own of a registered person under the CGST Act are as under section 29 subsection 2. So section 29 subsection 2 lists down what are the circumstances. There are 10 circumstances are there. My dear lovable students, a registered person has contravened any of the following provisions. Number 1, he does not conduct any business from the declared place of business. This is the first contravention. Sir, when I take the registration, I said that I will be conducting business from Nungambakam, but I am not conducting business from Nungambakam. PO will cancel the registration. He issues invoice or bill without supply of goods or service or both in violation of the provision of goods or law. I have actually not supplied goods or service or both, but I have just raised the invoice alone under section 31, basically bogus invoice, my dear lovable students. He violated the provisions of anti-profiteering in the sense means, sir, when time goes, department will reduce the rate of tax. Department will change the rate of tax from 28% to 18% or 5%. When it was 28%, I sold the calculator for 1000 rupees, including GST. But government said that from tomorrow onwards, it is not going to be 28%, it is going to be only 5%, then including GST should be 800 rupees. Am I right? But still I am selling at how much rupees itself? 1000 rupees itself. So I am acting against the profit, anti-profiteering. So if I do that in order to get the profit, just to collect extra profit, if I do something, my registration will be cancelled. He violated the provision relating to furnishing of what account? Bank account. That means after taking registration, my dear lovable students, I am supposed to furnish my bank account details. If I don't furnish the bank account details, my registration will be cancelled. He avails ITC in violation of the provision of section 16 of the CGST Act, because section 16 is the basic section for ITC. Only if you satisfy certain condition, you are supposed to take the ITC. Without satisfying the condition, you are taking ITC, your registration will be cancelled. Furnish the details of outward supply in Form GSTR1, because Form GSTR1 is outward supply. As amended in Form GSTR1A, that Form GSTR1 has been amended under section 30(1) for one or more tax period, which is in excess of the outward supply declared by him in valid return under section 39 for the said tax period. That means there is a difference between GSTR1 and GSTR3B. Then your registration will be cancelled. Fail to furnish return due between the order of cancellation and revocation of cancellation within 30 days of revocation order. Super point. Your registration has been cancelled and later your registration has been revoked. Sir, after revocation within 30 days, whatever pending returns are there, you are supposed to furnish. If you don't furnish it, PO will cancel the registration. If the cancellation was retrospective, that means today only order passed, but the cancellation take place 6 months before, fail to file all return from the date of order of cancellation due to the revocation order within how many days? 30 days. He has not furnished return for continuous period of how much? 6 months. Or he has not furnished return for a continuous period of 2 tax period under the what scheme? Or person paying tax under composition levy has not furnished return for 3 consecutive tax period. A registered person paying tax under regular scheme has not furnished return for continuous period of 6 months. Voluntary registered person has not commenced the business within 6 months. Registered person registration was obtained by means of fraud, willful misstatement or suppression of facts. Then PO shall not cancel the registration without giving a person an opportunity of being heard. During the pendency of the proceedings relating to cancellation of registration, PO may dash the registration, suspend the registration for the prescribed period and in the prescribed manner. So this is an expected question for exam. What are the circumstances in which proper officer, he himself, will cancel the registration? Any 5 or 6, if you remember itself, more than enough, my dear lovable students. I'm moving into illustration 9. Are you comfortable with up to this? We are having 9, we are having 10, and we are having 11. Only 11 questions are there from the registration chapter. That's it with the selected questions of the registration. Beautiful, good conceptual question has been chosen. Mr. X of Haryana intended to start business of supplying building material to various construction sites in Haryana. He wished to start the business. He has taken voluntary registration under GST in the month of April. Oh. That means he has taken voluntary registration. That means you will be treated as a registered person. However, he has not commenced the business till December due to lack of working capital. April he taken the registration. May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So after you taken a voluntary registration for the period of 6 months, you have not started the business. PO suo motu cancel the registration of Mr. X. You are required to examine whether the action taken by PO is valid in law. Yes, PO is having the power to what the registration, cancel the registration. Mr. X has applied for revocation of cancellation of registration after 100 days from the date of service of order of cancellation of registration. Immediately Mr. X has gone for the revocation of cancellation. Can he go for revocation of cancellation? Yes. Department contend that application of revocation of cancellation of registration can only be made within how many days? 90 days from the date of service of the order of cancellation of registration. Original period is 90 days and extended period is also available. They are talking about the amendment. This point is the recently amended area. However, Mr. X contends that period of submission of application may be extended on sufficient ground being shown. You are required to comment upon the validity of the contention raised by department and Mr. X is the question. Sir, this is the legal provision, man. If any person who has taken what registration? Voluntary registration. Has not commenced business within how much month? From the date of registration. Then PO may cancel the registration of such person from such date, including any retrospective date as he may deem fit as per section 29. Am I right? Super, sir. Sir, if the registration is cancelled, suo motu by the appropriate officer, the registrant seeking revocation of the order has to apply for revocation of cancellation within from the date of service of the order of cancellation of registration. This is what section 30. Section 30 is saying the time limit for revocation of application of the revocation should be 90 days. However, such period can be further extended up to how many days? 180 days if sufficient cause has been shown by the registrant. That means original period of plus further extended period of 180 days. So this is a newly added time limit I have discussed in class. In view of the above mentioned provision, suo motu cancellation of registration of Mr. X by PO is valid in law. First of all, proper officer is correct. Because since Mr. X, a voluntary registered person, has not commenced the business within 6 months. If in this case, such registered person may apply for revocation of cancellation to such proper officer within from the date of service of the order of the cancellation of the registration. Right? On sufficient cause being shown and for reason to be recorded in writing, said period of 90 days may extended for a period not exceeding how many days? 180 days. Thus, contention of department is not valid in law, as a extension can be sought in the prescribed time limit for revocation of cancellation of registration. The contention raised by Mr. X is what in law? As the extension in time limit is allowed on sufficient cause being shown and for reasons to be recorded in writing. That means, what is the takeaway? Sir, the original time period for application of revocation of cancellation of registration is 90 days from the date of serving the order. And in sufficient cause, it can be further extended to 180 days. Are you all really with me? Let me ask you one question. 90 days is the what period? Original period. Will you get plus 180 days or maximum 180 days from the date of cancellation of registration order? How you have understood this provision? 90 plus 180 or 90 days is the original period and it can be extended up to a maximum of 180 days. Plus 180 days. Maximum 180 days. Maximum 180 days means what? Read the provision once again, man. Sir, there you should not do mistakes in exam. On sufficient cause being shown and for reason to be recorded in writing, the said period of 90 days may be extended for a period not exceeding how many days? 180 days. Not exceeding 180 days. That means original period of 90 days plus you will get 180 days. Extra 180 days you will be getting. Sir, in this case, such registered person may apply for revocation of cancellation to such officer within 90 days from the date of service of the order of the cancellation of registration. This is basic time limit of 90 days. On sufficient cause being shown and for reason to be recorded in writing, said period of 90 days may be extended for a period not exceeding 180 days. Now you tell me, 90 plus 180 or 90 will be extended to another 90. Doubt 90 plus 180. 90 plus 180. Sir, on a sufficient cause being shown for reason to be recorded in writing, said period of 90 days may be extended. May be extended. That 90 days itself is the normal time limit, correct? May be extended. That 90 days will be extended for a period not exceeding 180 days. So 90 days is the original period, man. If they give extension, should not exceed to put together 180 days is the final provision. 90 days is the original provision, and that 90 days can be extended, but it should not exceed how many days? 180 days. That means including 90 days, it should not exceed 180 days. That means it is not 90 plus 180. Please don't understand like that. Sir, original period of 90 days plus it can be extended up to 180 days. That means another 90 you will be getting. Okay. Last 10th question. I'm moving, man. Question number 10. I'm moving. Answer the following independent questions, man. Case number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sir. If a person is making taxable supply from different state with the same PAN number, can he operate with a single registration? No, sir. That is not the system of the GST. It's a state-based registration. Every state you are supposed to take the registration. No. As per section 25 of the CGST Act, person will have to get registration separately in each of the state from where he make taxable supply if he is liable for registration as per section 22 or section 24. Is there any option to take centralized registration for services under GST law? No. Now there is no concept of what registration at all. Centralized registration at all. Am I right? Whether the registration granted to any person is permanent? Yes. Generally permanent. If you don't do any collar, then it is permanent. Yes. The registration once granted to any person is permanent except for NRTP and CTP. Unless the same is surrendered, cancelled or suspended. The surrendered, cancelled, suspended is for normal person. Are you all really with me? Whereas for NRTP and CTP, generally it is not permanent because after 90 days automatically the registration will be cancelled. Am I right? Sir, whether the registered taxable person is required to display certificate of registration? Yes. If you have certificate of registration, it has to be displayed. Every registered person shall display his registration certificate in a prominent location at his principal place of business. Office on the registration certificate. And at every additional place of business, my dear lovable students. Further, he has to display his GSTIN on the name board exhibited at the entry of his principal place of business and at every additional place of business. That means in every board, name board you are keeping outside, in that GST number should be there to show that this is a GST registered business. Can a person making multiple place of business in a state obtain separate registration for each place of business? Yes. Multiple registrations are allowed as per GST. As per proviso to 25(2), a person having multiple place of business in a state may obtain a separate registration for each place of business subject to such conditions as may be prescribed. Sir, at the time of registration, will the assessee have to declare all his place of business? Yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir. Principal place of business and place of business have been separately defined. Am I right? Taxpayer have to declare the principal place of business as well as the details of the additional place of business in the registration form. The last question. Can a person without GST registration collect GST and claim ITC? No. Unauthorized collection of tax. A person without GST registration can neither collect GST from his customer nor can claim ITC of GST paid by him. A very straightforward, normal registration related question. Moving to the last question of this chapter to say that registration has been comes to an end. Are you feeling so much comfortable? Answer the following question. Mr. G from Delhi is dealing in the purchase and sale of securities in his own account from secondary market. Security. Neither goods nor supply. He disclosed the transaction of purchase and sale of security in trading account and treated the same as business income. Turnover from April to September is 75 lakh. Is he liable for registration is the question. Sir, shares are excluded from the definition of goods as well as service under GST law. Supply of anything other than goods or service like money, security does not attract. Thus, in the given case, Mr. G is not liable to obtain registration for sales of share since shares are neither goods nor services under GST law. Easy. KLG Foundation from Jaipur, Rajasthan, a charitable trust registered under 12AB of the Income Tax Act, is engaged in supply of various service by charitable trust. KLJ Foundation receipts for the preceding year was 30 lakh. Whether KLJ Foundation is required to take registration is the question. Sir, they have taken 12AB, sir. 12AB income tax registration. Sir, service provided by a charitable trust in India is fully exempt under section 11. If you are exclusively engaged in supply of exempted things, why are you taking registration, man? Charitable trust registered under 12AB of the Income Tax Act and exclusively engaged in supply of service by way of charitable activity are exempt from GST. This is section 11. So here KLJ Foundation from Jaipur, Rajasthan is not liable for registration as is exclusively engaged in supplying exempted service from tax, my dear lovable students. So these are the ways in which we used to get question from the registration chapter. I believe that this is a master stroke for you, revising all the nook and corners of the chapter, sir. Registration. Am I right, sir? The same way, we'll be adding another 9 to 10 questions from the ITC part to revise the major important provisions of the ITC. That's what the slot target is all about. Yes, sir. We are going to talk about the ITC related question, man. Actually, brilliant question we have chosen. Mrs. Diwan and Sons of New Delhi has placed an order for 250 kg of plastic granules at 50 per kg exclusive of GST on Mrs. Karim on Bros of Noida, UP, Uttar Pradesh. Sir, I just want the name, sir. This question I will go little slow because something have to be taught to you. What is the first party name? Mrs. Diwan. Correct? Mrs. Diwan. Where that guy is situating? New Delhi. Okay, fine. Has placed an order of 250 kg of plastic granule at 50 per kg exclusive of GST on Mrs. Karim Bros of Noida. So another guy is there, Mrs. Karim Bros of Noida. Fine. This is Mrs. Karim Bros. Noida, Uttar Pradesh. This guy is situated in Uttar Pradesh. Let me ask you one question. Who ordered to whom? Mrs. Diwan and Sons of New Delhi has placed an order. That means who gave the order? Mrs. Diwan gave the order of how much, man? 250 kg, 250 kg into how much per kg? 50 per kg to Mrs. Karim and Gross. So now Karim and Gross are very happy. Wow, they got some order. Mrs. Karim and Gross have agreed to deliver the goods at the warehouse of Mrs. Diwan and Sons at New Delhi. They said that nothing to worry, man. We will supply to you from Uttar Pradesh to New Delhi to your warehouse. We will supply. While the order was getting packed, okay, fine. Now the order is getting packed at the factory of Mrs. Karim and Bros. Mrs. Diwan and Sons got an order from Shubh Khanna Sales of Hapur, Uttar Pradesh, for 250 kg of plastic granule at 60 per kg exclusive of GST. Super, eh? This guy's client called, this guy's customer called, which guy's? Mr. Diwan's. This guy is also situated in Uttar Pradesh. What is the name of that, sir? SK. We'll call it as SK. Okay, SK. Not Shivakarthikeyan, man, who's going to class with Vijay. Simple SK I am saying. SK. Right, sir. So this SK is also situated in where? Uttar Pradesh. So now Diwan is feeling that, wow. Even my customer is also asking 250 kg at the rate of how much per kg? 60 per kg. Hey, Karim, from your place of Uttar Pradesh, you have to send the goods to New Delhi. From New Delhi, I have to again get back to Uttar Pradesh. You do one thing, man. You itself send it to Uttar Pradesh. My customer, bill to ship transaction they are talking about. In order to save on transaction cost, Mrs. Diwan asked Karim to directly deliver the plastic granule to SK at his godown located in Harpur. Accordingly, Karim and Bros has delivered the plastic granule at the godown of Sir SK at Harpur. Examined the availability of ITC with Mrs. Sir Diwan and Sons and Mrs. Yes, Sir SK. All the parties are registered under GST and rate of GST is how much percent? 18%. Sir, this is purely a bill to ship transaction. Am I right, sir? In bill to ship transaction, 3 parties will be there. Number 1, sir, actual supplier will be there. Third party will be there. Actual recipient will be there. Am I right? Who's the actual supplier in this question? Karim is the actual supplier in the question. Who is the third party, my dear lovable students? Sir, Diwan is the third party. Are you all really with me? Who's the actual recipient? SK is the actual recipient. Actually, sir, actual supplier will supply to the actual recipient. But for the purpose of ITC, we will assume that actual supplier has supplied to the third party and third party has supplied to the actual recipient, because only if you actually receive goods or services or both, you are entitled to take ITC. Am I right? Super provision, man. Sir, registered person can avail ITC only when the goods or services received by him. As per section 16, subsection 2, class B, one of the condition to be satisfied in order to take ITC are you should really receive the goods or service or both. However, if the goods are delivered by supplier to the recipient on the direction of what person? Third person, registered person, that is third person. Under what to ship model? By way of transfer of document, then goods are deemed to be received when such goods are delivered by the whom? Supplier. So this is the conclusion. Even in the given case, goods are delivered by Karim, they are the supplier, to SK, they are the recipient. On the direction of Diwan, they are the registered person or the third person. Am I right? Therefore, ITC of 2,250. How 2,250? Because 250 kg at the rate of 50 per kg into 18% will be available to Diwan, registered person, on purchase of 250 kg of plastic granules at 50 per kg. It will be treated that, sir, Diwan has purchased from Karim. So, actually Karim supplied to SK, but for the purpose of ITC, it will be deemed that third party person has received the goods. Further, there is another supply between Diwan and SK. Am I right? Therefore, SK can avail ITC of 2,700. How 2,700? 250 kg at the rate of 60 into how much percent? On purchase of 250 kg of plastic granule at 60 per kg. ITC availability and the bill to ship model. One of the expected area for examination will be test in examination. Are you able to appreciate now? That means what bill to ship model is saying that, my dear lovable students, even though the actual supplier is supplying goods to the actual recipient, for the purpose of ITC, it will be deemed that third party has received the goods. And third party has supplied to the actual supplier. So third person can avail ITC when the actual supplier supplying goods to the actual recipient, and actual recipient can avail ITC when third person supplying goods to the actual recipient. Can I move into the second concept, man? Expected question. Question number 2. I am expecting this question for exam, especially this exam. ABC Private Limited is engaged in supply of electronic goods. During the financial year something, company GST registration was cancelled on 15th of August. So, on 15th August 20XX, let me draw the timeline. That's better for your understanding. On 15th August 20XX, registration has been cancelled. Super. Subsequently, the cancellation was revoked on 5th February by an order from the appellate authority. So, after August, September, October, November, December, January, then February, 5th February, a revocation of cancellation of registration. Am I right? ABC Private Limited filed a return for the period for which registration should cancel on 25th February. That means, sir, on 5th February, my dear lovable students, have the revocation has happened. As we all know that within 30 days of revocation of cancellation, all the pending returns should be filed. Am I right? So after 5th February, by 25th of February, because during this period registration has been cancelled, no return can be furnished as per the return chapter. Am I right? So all the pending return would have been filed within how many days? 30 days. ABC Private Limited has an invoice dated 20th July for goods supplied worth rupees how much lakh? 1 lakh. So ABC Private Limited were having an invoice dated 20th July. Sir, July is before cancellation, after cancellation? Before cancellation. Super, sir. Can ABC Private Limited claim ITC for the invoice dated 20th July? If yes, what is the time limit for same? ABC Private Limited has furnished annual return on 15th December is the question. My dear lovable students, this is regarding 20th July 20XX. Correct? ABC Private Limited has an invoice dated 20th July 20XX for the goods supplied worth rupees how much lakh? 1 lakh. What is the time limit, man? The time limit to avail the ITC is 30th November of the succeeding financial year or date of filing the annual return, whichever is earlier. So actually they have filed the return on 15th December only. Correct? So just to come to 30th of what? November. Sir, where you are standing when you are now 25th of February. February means is the November over? Yes, sir. That means you can't, what man? Take the ITC. Super provision, man. If the registration of a registered person is cancelled under section 29 and subsequently revoked by an order, the registered person can claim ITC for the invoices or debit note that were not restricted under 16.4 on the date of order of cancellation. This is time limit 16.6 time limit, new subsection added, already we discussed. Highlighting, you would have forgotten. This is a testing area for exam. Its ITC can be claimed in the return filed till the later of the following date, earlier of 30th November of the following year, or date of furnishing annual return, or return filed for the period from the date of cancellation of registration or the effective date of cancellation of registration till the date of order revoking the cancellation, if such return is filed within how many days? 30 days from the date of revocation order. Sir, yes, in this case, ITC for the invoice dated 20th July will be claimed by later of, whichever is later, not earlier, whichever is what? Later. This is a special time limit under 16.6. 30th November. 30th November. That is earlier of 30th November or 15th December. Yes, sir. Normal time limit, sir. 30th November of the succeeding financial year, date of filing the annual return, whichever is earlier. Clear done? 25th February, that is date of filing the return for the period from 15th of what? August. Cancellation date to 5th February, revocation order. Sir, let me ask you a question, sir. The invoice is relating to which period? No, which period? Invoice date is which period? July. Which of July? 20th of July. Correct. 20th July. Sir, 20th July return, you will be filing only on 20th of August, no. July month invoice, you will be claiming ITC next month August, no. 15th August, they have cancelled the registration, no. That means how you can say that it is before cancellation period? It is not before cancellation period. For this bill, no ITC would not have been taken by the person. Are you able to appreciate? That's why we are having extended time limit under 16 subsection 6. This is a very important area for exam. Sir, if the registration of a registered person is cancelled under section 29. For example, if I'm a registered person, my registration has been cancelled under section 29 and subsequently revoked by an order. Sir, then it has been revocation of cancellation, section 30. That means today, section 29, my registration has been cancelled. Section 30, my registration has been revoked. Then the registered person can claim ITC for the invoices or debit note that were not restricted under 16 subsection 4 on the date of order of cancellation. That means, my dear lovable students, on the date of order of cancellation, on this date, there may be invoices or debit note for which actually 16 subsection 4 time limit has not been elapsed. Still that time limit is live. Right? Actually, 20th July invoices, I can take in, sir, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Because, sir, 30th November of the succeeding financial year, till that I'm having time. There is no need that I have to mandatorily claim the ITC immediately in the next month itself. Am I right? So, on the date of cancellation of the registration, sir, the time limit under 16 subsection 4 for this bill was alive. And my cancellation has been revoked under section what? 30. Then within 30 days of revocation of cancellation of registration, I have to, sir, file all my pending returns. Then 16 subsection 6 extended time limit is saying that its ITC can be claimed in the return file till the later of the following dates. Later. Sir, normal time limit. The first one is normal time limit. That is earlier of 30th November of the following year or date of furnishing the what return? Annual return. Or return filed for the period from the date of cancellation of registration or the effective date of cancellation of registration. Return filed for the period from the date of cancellation. for this cancelled period will you file the pending returns? That's what return filed for the period from the date of cancellation of registration or the effective date of cancellation of registration, because sometimes the registration would have been cancelled retrospectively. That's why effective date of cancellation till the date of the order revoking the cancellation, if such return is filed within 30 days from the date of revocation of order. That means if any invoice or debit note for which I am entitled to take ITC on the date of cancellation of registration, for on that date 16 subsection 4 time limit is alive, but I was not able to take ITC because of the cancellation of registration, but in future that cancellation has been revoked, and within 30 days if I am filing the pending return, at that time when I file the pending return, that invoice, that debit note, that credit note, I can claim and ITC can be enjoyed. Are you all really with me? Thus, ABC Private Limited must claim ITC by 30th November 2000 XY is the discussion what we are making, because, sir, it is later off. It is what off? Later off. It's not earlier. Later of 30th November. Sir, 30th November, that is either 30th November or 15th December, whichever is earlier. This is normal provision. Am I right? Or 25th February, because 25th February is the date of filing the return for the period from 15th August, that is cancellation date, to 5th February, revocation date, whichever is later, not earlier. So this is earlier, this is later. So this is time limit, both whichever is later. So ABC Private Limited must claim ITC by 30th November. This is an expected question for exam, Kanna. I hope that you are able to appreciate or understand. Question number 3 is a normal question only, which we used to do in the exam, normal class. ABC Limited procured the following goods in the month of December. Goods used in constructing an additional floor of office building. You tell me ITC allowed, not allowed? Goods used in constructing an additional floor of office building. Tell me. ITC allowed, not allowed? Not allowed. You can't take, sir, goods used in constructing additional floor, ITC is not allowed. Goods given as free sample to prospective customer. Free samples. Free sample means there is no output tax collected. If there is no output tax collected, there is no ITC, right? You are not entitled to take ITC. Truck used for transportation of input in the factory. Sir, truck is not at all covered in the blocked credit man. You can take what? ITC. Input used in trial run, it is in the course or furtherance of business. You can take what? ITC. Confectionery item, food item for consumption of employee working in the factory. Sir, it's for personal consumption. ITC is not allowed. Cement used for making foundation and structural support to plant and machinery. It will be treated as plant and machinery. So ITC will be allowed. This is the total eligible ITC. Compute the amount of ITC available with A Limited for the month of December by giving necessary explanation. Assuming that all the other conditions necessary for availing ITC has been fulfilled. These notes you are supposed to read it, man. I hope that you are able to appreciate or understand with regard to the third question. Such a ITC eligibility question will be tested in exam. Illustration number 4. Answer the following question. Babla and Bros is exclusively in making exempt supply of goods. I'm only making exempt supply of goods. And is thus not registered under GST. Just now we have talked about. Because if you are exclusively engaged in supply of exempted goods, you are not supposed to take registration. On 1st October, the exemption available on its goods gets withdrawn. On that day, turnover of Babla Bros was rupees 45 lakh. Examine the eligibility of Babla and Bros for availing ITC, if any. Sir, they have to take the registration, sir. Yes, sir. That means we are having section 18, subsection 1, clause A. We are having 18, subsection 1, clause B. Am I right? Sir, till now I was an unregistered person. I'm going to become a registered person. If that is the case, all the inputs, GST available on input services and WAP, you are entitled to take ITC. Sir, if a person applied for registration within how many days? From the date on which he become liable to registration, then he shall be entitled to take ITC of input held in stock, input contained in semi-finished goods, input contained in finished goods. On the day, immediately preceding the day from which he become liable to pay. So provisions of 18 subsection 1 clause D is applicable. Only person was registered during the exemption period. Am I right? Sir, in this case, in the given case, exemption available on goods being supplied by Babla and Bros. An unregistered person is withdrawn and become liable to be registration as its turnover has crossed the threshold limit for registration on the day when exemption was withdrawn. Are you able to follow what I am reading? Assuming that Babla and Bros apply for registration within how many days? Of 1st October itself. And it obtains such a registration. It can take ITC of input held in stock, input contained in semi-finished goods, or finished goods held in stock on 30th of September. ITC on capital goods will not be available. Because as per section 18, subsection 1, clause A, only ITC on the stock, raw material, WIP, finished goods will be allowed. Pakka vapa. Sir, Mamta trade links trades in exempted goods and provide taxable services. It is registered under GST. Already this guy is a registered person. On 1st to October, exemption available on goods get withdrawn. That means exempted goods become taxable goods. So what is the difference between case study 1 and 2? Case study, an unregistered person has become a registered person. Then ITC on raw material, WIP, finished goods will be allowed. Whereas a registered person has become a registered person. That means an unregistered goods has become a exempted goods has become a taxable goods. If this is the case, it will cover in 18 subsection 1 clause D. That's what they are saying. Provisions of 18 subsection 1 clause D is applicable. Only person was registered during the exemption period. Sir, if during this exempted period also, that guy was a what person? Then you can take ITC on input services, capital goods also. Are you all really with me? That's what case number 2. A registered person, whose exempt supply become taxable supply, then he can take ITC on input, semi-finished goods and finished goods held in stock. Also ITC of capital goods used for such exempt supply on the immediately preceding date from which such supply become taxable is allowed. ITC of capital goods will be reduced by how much percent per quarter? 5% per quarter or part thereof from the date of invoice. Sir, basically this question is teaching us or make us remember what is the difference between 18 subsection 1 clause A and 18 subsection 1 clause D. If you are an pakka unregistered person, if you are moving to a registration now, you will fall under 18 subsection 1 clause A. Sir, I was already a registered person, but I were having some exempted goods or services, but it has become taxable. Then you will fall under 18 subsection 1 clause D. So in the given case, Mamta Trade Link is a registered person whose exempt supply is becoming taxable supply. Thus it can take ITC of input held in stock as well as capital goods used for exempt supply on 30th September. Such input or capital goods are purchased in last 1 year, because we always, sir, have the habit of checking the 1 year time limit, that invoice should be within 1 year. Otherwise, we are not entitled to enjoy the ITC. Am I right? With your permission, are you enjoying ITC related things? Can I move into illustration number 5? As per CGST Act, Vishnu Limited was not mandatorily required to get registered. However, it applied for voluntary registration and applied for registration on 12th February. My dear lovable students, for a voluntary registration, when you are applying doesn't matter. When you are getting the, sir, registration matter. That is the effective date of registration. Registration certificate has been granted by department on 24th of February. Vishnu Limited is not engaged in making interstate outward supply. That means, since it is on 24th of February, whatever stock you are having on 23rd of February on that raw material, WIP and what? Finished goods, you are entitled to take ITC. CGST and SGST liability for the month of February is 31,000 each. Since there is no interstate outward supply, only intrastate outward supply is there. So CGST and SGST 31,000 each. Vishnu Limited provide the following information of goods held in stock on 23rd February. These are the stock available on 23rd February, as we all know. Sir, once you take voluntary registration, on the date of grant of RC, just immediately 1 day, whatever stock you are having, for that stock you are entitled to take. Capital goods, you tell me, for capital goods, are you entitled to take ITC? No, sir, because this will fall under 18 subsection 1 clause Ava Bia. A, B, this is voluntary registration. A, B, B, sir. For both A and B, you are entitled to take ITC only on the inputs. You are not entitled to take ITC on the what goods? Capital goods. Am I right, sir? So for capital goods, you are not entitled to take ITC. Concept clear? Sir, inputs contained in finished goods stock held were procured on 13th February, being interstate supply. Total 30 lakh. Sir, what is the date, man? Sir, you are standing on 23rd February. You can go back 1 year back. Am I right? Sir, you can go back up to 23rd February of 2000 and XX. This has been purchased on 13th February. Is it beyond 1 year or within 1 year? Beyond 1 year. 13th February 2000 XX. Sir, நீ எப்பக்குள்ள purchase பண்ணி முடிச்சிருக்கணும்? 23rd February is the last date. From 23rd February 2022 till 23rd February 2023 was the time allowed. But they have purchased on 13th February. Is that within 1 year or not is the question. No, sir. Input procured on 13th February is beyond 1 year. You are not entitled to take ITC. Able to appreciate? Value of input received on 10th October. October. Our period is what? February. This is what? October. Contained in semi-finished goods held in stock. Rate of CGST and SCST 6% each being intra-state supply 2,50,000. You tell me, sir, is 10th October within 1 year? Yes, sir. So, my dear lovable students, sir, yes, you are entitled to take ITC. 6% each. So, 2,50,000 into 6% comes to 15,000 and 15,000. Input procured on 10th October. Are you able to know how to check the time limit? This will be tested in exam. Input procured on 1st February. Current year only, man. Lying in stock of semi-finished goods. Rate of CGST, SCST 7.5 each. Being intra-state supply 1,50,000. So 1,50,000 into 7.5%. 11,250. 11,250 is the eligible ITC. Input procured on 8th February. Lying in stock of finished goods. Rate of GST 18% being interstate. So 60,000 into 18% comes to 10,800. 10,800 IGST column you have to write because it's an interstate supply. So 10,800 ITC you can take 26,250 and 26,250. Now I'm going to calculate the minimum net GST payable. I know that my output tax liability is only CGST and SGST because I am not making interstate outward supply. I am making only intra-state outward supply. Am I right? Sir, I am having, sir, IGST credit. As we all know that rule number 1, IGST credit is savadiganum. Correct? Sir, IGST 10,800. I will knock off 5,400, 5,400 because any manner, any proportion. There is no problem. CGST credit 26,250 is there. But from 31,000 CGST, if you remove 5,400, my dear lovable students, how much you will be getting? 25,600. And I get a 26,250. The balance can be what forward? Carry forward. The same with SGST also. So the balance, so the net GST payable will be nil. So person taking voluntary registration cannot avail ITC on capital goods held on the day immediately preceding the date of grant of registration. Are you clear with this provision? IGST credit is utilized first for payment of CGST and SGST in equal proportion because any manner, any proportion. CGST credit is utilized for payment of CGST liability and SGST credit is utilized for payment of SGST liability because cross utilization is not permitted. Kanna, are you all really with me? With this illustration number 5 comes to an end. We are moving into illustration number 6. The selected area, very good area for you. Dina Limited, a registered supplier from Maharashtra, is engaged in manufacture of passenger auto. Company provide the following detail of purchases made or service availed by it in the month of March. Purchase of iron, which is used as raw material. Goods were received in 2 installments. First in March and second in what? April. This is for the month of March they have given. Sir, if the goods are received in lot or installment, ITC can be availed only in the last installment. In April avale. So for this 2,50,000, you can't take now ITC. So purchase of raw material, no ITC is there. Super, sir. Purchase of accessory, which were delivered directly to the dealers of the company on the direction of Dina Limited. Only invoice was received by Dina Limited. You can take ITC because this is a bill to ship transaction. In case of bill to ship transaction, my dear lovable students, it will be assumed that third person has received the goods. So 90,000 can be taken as ITC. Purchase of bus, seating capacity 15 for the transport of employee from their residence to companies and back. My dear lovable students, sir, any transport vehicle having a capacity of more than 13 passengers are not blocked credit. So for this 1,97,000, you can happily take ITC. General insurance taken on car used by executive of the company for official purpose. Car is a blocked credit. Automatically, general insurance is also a blocked credit. You are not entitled to take ITC. Machinery purchased to be used in the manufacturing process of auto parts. Sir, this 3 lakh is for the furtherance of business. You can take what? ITC. Are you all really with me? Input purchase but stolen from the factory, then ITC also stolen. Are you all with me? It is a what credit, man? Blocked credit. You are not entitled to take ITC. Rent a cab facility availed for employee to fulfill a statutory obligation. If it is a statutory obligation, ITC can be availed. Outdoor catering service taken for a meeting organized in the factory. Personal consumption, ITC is blocked. Don't eat food. For food and all, we will not provide ITC. Payment made for material and to contract for construction of staff quarter. It is building, staff quarter, immobile property. ITC is not allowed because this is for material. Are you all really with me? You can't take the what? ITC. Input purchase was directly delivered to Mr. Joe, a job worker, a registered supplier. Sir, if you are sending the goods to a job worker, principal can happily take what? ITC, no problem at all. You are required to determine the ITC available with Dina for the month of March by giving brief explanation for the treatment of various items. Subject to the information given above, all other conditions necessary for availing ITC have been fulfilled. So the total ITC available will be 7,03,000. Are you all really with me? And the notes I have written, man, you have to read the notes because everything has been discussed in the class. Can I move into illustration number 7? Satya Sai Resident Welfare Association, a registered person under GST, has 30 members, each paying 8,000 as maintenance charges per month for sourcing of goods and services from third party for common use of its members. This is more than 7,500. Since this is more than 7,500, it is taxable. The association purchased a water pump for 59,000, inclusive of GST, rupees 9,000, and availed ITC of 23,600, inclusive of GST of 3,600 for common use of its members during February. Compute the total GST payable, if any, by Satya Sai Resident Welfare Association for February. GST rate is how much percent? All transactions are intrastate. There is no opening ITC and all conditions for ITC have been fulfilled. First of all, they are providing services. No. For example, 8,000 into 30, 2,40,000 rupees they are collecting per month. Am I right? For that 2,40,000 outward supply, this RWA, Resident Welfare Association, is supposed to collect GST at the rate of 18%, come to 43,200. Am I right? And this guy has purchased something which is water pump. For that, they have paid GST 12,600. That can take it as ITC. So 43,200 is the output tax collected. Minus 12,600 is the GST paid. So the net GST payable will be 30,600. So service by RWA to its members for sourcing of goods or service from a third person for common use of its members in a housing society are exempt if the share of contribution per member per month is up to how much? Otherwise, entire amount is. Thus, maintenance charges are taxable in this case. Am I right? So on outward supply, they are supposed to collect output tax. And whatever GST they have paid can be taken as ITC, net amount they are supposed to pay to the government. Can I move into illustration number 8? You know one thing, we are having illustration number 8 for our discussion and also illustration 9 for our discussion. That's it. We are done with the discussion of the important ITC part. 2 more questions are only there. K&K Limited, a registered supplier of Mumbai, is a manufacturer of heavy machines. It outward supply exclusive of GST for the month of January are as follows. Interstate supply 85 lakh. On this they are supposed to collect IGST. Intra-state supply they are supposed to collect CGST and SGST. Applicable rate of CGST, SGST, IGST on outward supply are 9, 9 and details of GST paid on inward supply during the month of January are as follows. Raw material A, of which 70% of input procured were used and 30% were in stock at the end of January. That doesn't matter, man. ITC will not be provided based upon how much you have used, whether you have purchased or not. Usage condition is not a prerequisite. Am I right? The entire 60 and 60, you can claim it as raw material B, of which 90% received in factory and remaining material completely damaged due to a road accident on the way to factory. There was no negligence on the part of K&K Limited. That means, sir, since 10% has been destroyed, lost, written off, you can take it as what? ITC, because it's a what credit. So proportionate ITC we have to calculate. Construction of pipeline laid outside the factory premises. Sir, pipeline laid outside the factory premises are what credit? Blocked credit. You are not entitled to take ITC. Insurance charges for truck used for transportation of goods. Truck is an allowed credit, so automatically insurance is also a. There are no opening balance of any ITC and all conditions necessary for availing the ITC have been fulfilled. Details of GST paid on inward supply are available in GSTR except for the item number 1, raw material A, for which supplier has not filed GSTR 1 for the month of January. Hence, corresponding ITC is not reflecting GSTR 2B of the K&K. Sir, if it is not reflecting in GSTR 2B, you are not entitled to take ITC. Am I right? Compute the amount of eligible ITC available for the month of January. Minimum net GST payable in cash for the month of January after using available ITC. Working note should form part of your answer. First one, raw material A. Sir, have the supplier filed GSTR 1 to reflect in your GSTR 2B? No, sir. Then you are not entitled to take what? Sir, ITC shall not be availed if the invoice is not reported by the supplier in his GSTR 1 or 1A and also not reflected in GSTR 2B of the recipient. Am I right? Next one, raw material B, you can take proportionate ITC. Am I right, sir? ITC on goods destroyed, that is 10% of goods is blocked. So remaining 90% ITC you can take. Construction of pipeline laid outside the factory is a what credit? As per 17 subsection 5 clause C, ITC on works contract service avail for construction of plant and machinery is allowed. But pipeline laid outside the factory premise are excluded from the definition of plant and machinery. Hence ITC thereon is blocked. Am I right? Sir, insurance charge is paid for truck. It is allowed, man, because truck is allowed. ITC on motor vehicle used for transportation of goods is not blocked. ITC is also allowed on insurance service relating to such motor vehicle on which ITC is allowed. So this is the total eligible ITC. How much lakh and how much lakh? 1 lakh and 1 lakh. So now interstate supply 85 lakh. On that 18% IGST has to be collected. Intra-state supply 15 lakh. On that 9% CGST and 9% SGST has to be collected. So this is the total output tax collected. 15 lakh 30, 1 lakh 35, 1 lakh 35. Am I right? Less we are having CGST and SGST credit. CGST and SGST credit can be set off against CGST payable and SGST payable. So we are supposed to pay IGST payable of 15 lakh 30. 1 lakh 35 minus 1 lakh 35,000, 1 lakh 35 minus 1 lakh 35,000. This is the amount to be paid to the government. Am I right? Are you feeling so much comfortable? Illustration number 9 is a target. Muscat Motors Private Limited, year and after MMPL, a dealer of motor vehicle, registered in Udaipur, Rajasthan, has given an ex-works contract to Mrs. Ganesh Trader, registered in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, for manufacturing 10 unit of pickup van. I said that you manufacture pickup van on behalf of me. Mrs. Ganesh Trader manufactured the van and handed over to transporter on behalf of MMPL on 29th April, and delivery on its part is complete at its factory gate in where? Ahmedabad. Further, it raised the invoice for all 10 pickup van on the same day. MMPL has recorded the invoice in its books on the same day. Price of the van ex-factory was 10 lakh each, excluding GST yet. However, van were physically received by MMPL at its showroom in Udaipur, Rajasthan on EPO 2nd May. When they raised the bill and all, 29th April. And payment was also made on the same day. After the payment, 2 van got damaged and completely in a fire in the showroom in the first week of May. And therefore, they were written off in the books in the month of, are received by MMPL. Discuss the availability of ITC on pickup van to MMPL with reference to provisions under GST law. In which month MMPL is eligible to avail ITC on purchase of van? How much ITC is eligible in respect of the van is the question. What has happened? There was one person, that guy said to the other party that I need 10 vehicle. They manufacture 10 vehicle. They have completed the manufacturing and they send. That day it has not been received in my factory. It took 2 or 3 days extra for transportation purpose and all. But after I received, 2 of the vehicles has been destroyed. So section 16 subsection 2 class B of the CGST Act provides that no registered person shall be entitled to take credit of input tax in respect of any supply of goods or service to him unless he has received the goods or service or both. Am I right? Sir, explanation to 16 subsection 2 class B provides that it shall be deemed that the registered person has received the what or what? When the goods are delivered by the supplier to a recipient or any other person on the direction of such a registered person where acting as an agent or otherwise before or during movement of goods, either by way of transfer of document of title to the goods or otherwise. Further, it has been clarified that, so there is a clarification. White circular in case of ex-work contractor the property in the goods can be considered to have been passed on to a dealer by the original equipment manufacturer upon handing over the said goods to the transporter at its what gate? Factory gate. Meaning thereby that the goods can be considered to have been delivered to the registered person, the dealer, through the transporter by the supplier at his what gate? Factory gate. And supply of the said goods can be considered to have been, sir, fructified at the factory gate of the OEM, even though the goods may be physically received by registered person after the what period? Transit period. Nothing, man. There is a manufacturer, ANM. He asked the manufacturers to manufacture the pickup van. Okay, right? After completion of that, they will hand over the vehicle to bring to the place of ANM. The day on which this guy hand over the vehicle, it will be deemed that that day itself, this guy, ANM has received such goods. ANM has received such goods. So in the given case, since the contract between Ganesh traders, they are the original equipment manufacturers, and MMPL, they are the dealer, is X work. Pickup vans are considered to be received by MMPL on when? 29th April. Sir, actually 29th April, I have not received the vehicle. 29th April, just they have delivered the vehicle at their factory premises. Understanding? That is a date on which vans are handed over to the what? Transporter. Even though they were physically received only in the month of what? So initially on 29th April, full ITC of 28 lakh, because 10 lakh per van for 10 van comes to 10 crores, sir, 1 crore, 28% come to 28 lakh, can be availed while filing the return for the month of April. So the month in which the OEM, whose OEM? Original equipment manufacturer handed over the vehicle, that day itself the other party can take ITC. Subsequently, after the receipts of van in showroom, 2 vans were destroyed due to fire and written off in the books. So ITC in respect of such van which was already availed has to be reversed. Reversed. 2 vans has been destroyed and written off while filing the return of the next month, May. Since ITC on the goods which are destroyed is not available in accordance with 17.5 of the CGST Act. So the amount of ITC which has to be reversed in the month of next month is 10 lakh for 2 van at the rate of 28%. Total 5.6 lakhs should be reversed. That's it with regard to the discussion of registration and ITC. In that last circular are important. I'm just highlighting what is the crux of the circular. There will be 2 parties, man. OEM will be there. Original equipment manufacturers will be there. They will manufacture equipment or plant and machinery for the principal. The date on which this OEM handed over goods to their transporter will be treated as the date of receipt of goods by the principal. That's it. Are you all really with me? Comfortable? That's it with regard to the 2 gigantic chapter of registration and ITC.